It was an ordinary day in the small town of Sunshine. Small children were running around the narrow streets playing hide-and-seek and ball, and parents were minding their own business. All the residents were excited because in a couple of days there was going to be a big celebration of the town. Suddenly, a bright star that looked like a large comet appeared in the sky. Its glow was so dazzling that all the people in the town looked in its direction, pointing at each other in surprise. Little Jimmy, the most inquisitive boy in town, noticed that a star was moving closer and closer to the earth. His eyes lit up with the desire to find out what was happening, and he decided to find out more about it. Jimmy, taking his trusty friend Victor with him, began to investigate the strange alien. Together they left the park where the children were playing and went to the outskirts of the city, where the star seemed closest. Soon they reached the forest where the star had fallen. Jimmy and Victor cautiously approached the place where it had fallen and found a huge rock that looked like a meteorite. They rejoiced, realizing that they were the first to find this unusual object. It was then that a mysterious figure appeared in front of them. The figure turned out to be a small and skinny alien named Zaki. He was dressed in a brightly colored space uniform and gave off a pleasant aura. Zaki told the boys that he was traveling from another galaxy and had accidentally lost his way when he landed on Earth. He had an important mission to return home and prevent a catastrophe on his world. Jimmy and Victor, fascinated by Zaki's story, decided to help the alien on his unusual adventure. They realized that meeting the alien was a unique opportunity for them. Together, they got together and began planning how to help Zaki. They went into the forest again to find something useful and help Zaki on his mission. They looked through every corner and soon came across an old, abandoned laboratory of a scientist who was studying space technology. In the lab, the boys discovered an amazing antique map depicting a secret location where ancient artifacts were kept. Science-savvy Zaki explained that it might be what he needed to solve his problem. Deciding that it could help Zaki, the three friends traveled to a forbidden area, the city museum. They knew that the museum held many artifacts, including the legendary calculating machine that this map leads to. But they had to overcome many obstacles and guards to reach their goal. The boys, taking Zaki with them, scrutinized the museum's layout and strategized how to sneak in unnoticed. They knew that time was running out on their adventure, so every action had to be well thought out. In the evening, they snuck through the back of the museum, bypassed the guards, and quietly made their way inside. The boys were excited and fascinated by the beauty and history of the artifacts surrounding them. At the end of the hall was an ancient calculating machine described on an antique map. It looked like it belonged to the future, even though it had been created long ago. Zaki said that this machine would help him set up his navigation systems. Jimmy, Victor, and Zaki began to carefully work with the machine, carefully following the instructions and trying to understand its complex structure. It took a long time, but eventually they managed to get the machine working again. When the computing machine was fully activated, suddenly something unexpected happened. It went out of control and began to create portals to other dimensions. Monstrous creatures began to appear, coming out of these portals and filling the museum. The sight was stunning and frightening at the same time. Jimmy, Victor, and Zaki were stunned by what was happening before their eyes. They realized that the beings from other dimensions had to be stopped before they could leave the museum and harm Sunshine City. Quickly pulling themselves together and keeping their cool, the boys decided to use their newly acquired teleportation abilities. They realized that only with these abilities would they be able to deal with this incredible threat. Jimmy, Victor, and Zaki stood shoulder to shoulder and took a decisive step. With each passing moment, They grew stronger and more experienced in fighting the creatures from the portals. They used their abilities and skills to confront them. The battle lasted a long time and was fierce. Jimmy, Victor, and Zaki proved to themselves and others that courage and friendship can overcome any obstacle. They closed all the portals one by one, and the creatures began to disappear in a whirlwind of light. When the last portal closed, the museum was quiet and peaceful again. Jimmy, Victor, and Zaki looked at each other with relief. They realized that they had been able to escape and return the world of Sunshine City to normal. Jimmy, Victor, and Zaki took each other's hands and walked back to the center of the museum. Their hearts were full of pride and gratitude for the strength and power of friendship that had enabled them to overcome all challenges. They realized that regardless of future challenges, they would always be together and ready to face them.